You better sit still and be quiet for this one. If not, the hunters are sure to get you. They will get you with their torches, shotguns, rifles, and axes. So if you don't want that to happen, be quiet, but make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment, alright? Today, my brutal bratskis, we're checking out no other game than Gloomwood. A brutal thank you to my bratski who gifted me this game. I love ya. Now, the guy who will be talking you through this is no other than Slim Bratski from Sweden, the most brutal boomer shooter dad on this thing called internet. Now let's do this. In Gloomwood, we play as an abducted fella trying to escape a forgotten, twisted Victorian metropolis consumed by an ancient curse. You must plan your survival and daring escape. We play as the Doc, locked up by the huntsman to be taken to the Countess. He was freed at the very intro of the game by the merchant with the hopes of putting a stop to the death and destruction happening throughout the city by her hands. Excellent, dark, steampunky story that with its powerful intro instantly caught me. It made me want to know what sick and twisted shit this game is going on. It even got me interested enough that I read every single note I found in the game. That is not something I easily do. And oh boy am I happy I did. Not only does the notes reveal very interesting lore pieces that connect environmental storytelling, really elevating your experience with the game, but it also reveals secrets, codes for safes containing goodies and hints as to what to do. Now that said, you will do just fine not reading a single one of the notes, but they are rarely very long to read, straight to the point with little fillers, so I highly actually recommend that you do. Simply to get a better understanding of the game as a whole. They really did help my enjoyment with the game. Yeah, give it a freaking beauty, man. Oh. So after the merchant let us out from our pit of doom, it's time to plot our escape. To the lighthouse that the merchant prepared for us, we must go. In our way, however, the guys who locked us in, aka the hunters, will be standing with their green, yellow, and red glowing eyes, searching for us, guarding this cursed land. The green, yellow, and red is the first out of many stealth mechanics. Their eyes, they actually tell you of their awareness of you. A great mechanic that works super well, just as the ring on your finger. The ring tells you of how well hidden you are. If it's glowing, that means that anyone and everyone can see you, if they look where you're standing, that is. If it's not shining, that means you're safe from being spotted. And on top of that, you got everything that you come to expect from a stealth game. In terms of audio, some surfaces sound more than others when walking on them. Sprinting is louder than sneaking, and a gunshot is much louder than a sword stab. The game is just loaded with small mechanics like these that seem so well thought out, and it really helps make the game feel clean and immersive. As an example, thanks to all of these mechanics, the game has no HUD whatsoever. To actually check your health, you must enter your journal. To check your ammo in your revolver, reload you must. And just the same with the shotgun. To open your inventory, a briefcase you must pull out. Also, one of the coolest inventories I've ever seen in a game. It's just so cool and fun to manage. And that said, it really doesn't do anything out of the ordinary. It's your standard Resident Evil kind of inventory, but it's also satisfying to manage it. Albeit a wee bit small, it could definitely have benefited from being able to upgrade it. But I will touch more on that a little bit later. It does look awesome though. That said, this game has no RPG mechanics in the form of upgrades, abilities, and so on. But you do eventually meet up with the merchant who will sell you things. But other than that, there are no skill points or anything like that. Which I actually found completely fine. The game, it doesn't feel like it needs it, apart from making the inventory just a snippet bigger. Now weapons wise, I will be spoiling them really quick here, seeing as the arsenal isn't huge in this game. So we start very early off with this cane sword, an absolute beautiful weapon that can one-hit kill enemies from behind, block melee attacks, and slice like a freaking ninja turtle up front. Now after a little while we come across the revolver, a not so powerful weapon that also makes a lot of noise. Very good for blowing up red barrels, however. Then we get the flare gun, a weapon that uses different chemical mixes for its bullets. Everything from flame bullets to other toxic, strange mixes, and it's very, very effective, but the ammo is kinda scarce for that one. And lastly, we got the shotty, a foldable shotty to neatly pack in your inventory suitcase when not needed. An extremely powerful weapon that one shot kills most things, but also makes a lot of noise. It's shotgun time, baby. I just wanna... Now all of these are completely optional. You could just as well miss every single one of these weapons apart from the cane sword. I mean, chances are very high that you will come across them in one point or another, but the game is built in a linear but explorative fashion, meaning that every route you take or every safe you open is completely optional. This is an approach to game design that usually throws me off a little bit, but in Gloomwood's instance, it works perfect. I never really felt like I was lost or missing out on anything, and it helped encourage me to explore every inch of this world and read all of the notes and get really immersed into the game. Now the weapons overall, they are fairly well balanced. The less powerful the weapon is, the more ammo you will find for it. The more powerful the weapon is, the less ammo you will find for it. That said though, once you get into the flow of the game and its mechanics, it starts to get quite easy after a bit. You will do fine using a bit of stealth, some firepower and common sense. Now I know a lot of people say that you can more or less melee kill everything just by hitting them once, then backing up to avoid their attack, slice again and so on until they are dead. And while this might be true for a lot of the cases, it's not true for all of the game. You will often find yourself outnumbered and that tactic won't work then. Sometimes the hunters even have guns. Another instance where that tactic will not work, and on some enemy types it outright just doesn't work at all. So while the game is on the easier side of the stealth genre, it's by no means a super easy game. I was challenged here and there for sure. And please thank everything that there is to thank in this world. The game now has a quick save system. I'm gonna be completely honest here, without the quick save system I most likely would not have made it through this early access. And it can be activated inside of the options menu, and if not activated, you use these save point systems. And in my opinion, they are far and few in between. It's not the end of the world using them, but holy crap, it took away a lot of frustration for me. So whatever option you want to use, it's completely up to you, but now you know that both of them exist. So when it comes to the enemy types, just as with the weapons, the game is not jam-packed with variety. But what is here feels incredibly high quality, just as with the weapons. All enemies, they serve a purpose and offers their own way of adding to the game's combat, and actually, in a way, the lesser amount of enemies and their quality helps build the tension for whenever a new enemy is introduced. And it's further built up by the game's fantastic environmental storytelling, especially when you're about to come across a new enemy. It really builds the tension a fair bit before the actual introduction, often in horrific ways. Now take this boss as an example. Spoiler warning for about a minute here. So before we meet this boss, the game does an excellent job at scattering these notes, telling you how in this tavern there is an unholy creature that has slain all the hunters who tried to stop it thus far, and in more detail how they have actually tried to stop it but failed. How they barricaded the whole tavern to trap the unholy creature and are now guarding it so it doesn't escape. And once in the tavern, you can see all of the barricades, the slaughters of hunters trying to stop the creature. And this is just one out of so many great tense build-up moments the game throws at you. And I just... oh, perfect. Always believe in yourself. Now my friends, bratskis, ladies and gentlemen, the level design of Gloomwood is exceptionally well designed. Holy meatballs and macaronis, I loved walking around this place. The atmosphere oozes of horror, but not enough to actually scare you of being scared for a jump scare. The verticality in each level is nuts, but never feels maze-like. The variety in the environments and storytelling is through the freaking roof, but always manages to stay true to its era and overall tone of the game. It starts you off in a fishing harbor, taking you to a dark cave system, mountain edge houses, a beach and a beautiful town. And each of the areas are brimming of different routes to take, areas to explore, secrets to uncover, notes to read, resources to find, and alternative approaches to it all. Say that you see something ahead, well, chances are that there are at least 3 different ways that you can approach it, and none of those 3 alternatives will be the wrong or right way to do it. It's all a really complex and well thought out level system that interconnects all the areas and puts the dot over the I in this stealth action horror game. If there is anything in this game that resembles Thief, it's definitely its level design. Okay, that's the elevator. We can open this. This will take us back here. And we went outside of the window. Okay, I'm connecting things now. Oh, shicey bicey. In the presentation, I really want to encourage you to go into the video settings and turn this from whatever it is it says as default to point. It will make the game go from blurry and washed out textures to more beautifully pixely ones. Now once you have done that, you can start to really enjoy the beauty of this game. As you can clearly see, it's harkening back to the good old days, in many ways like Thief, and not just because of its low polygons and pixels, but thanks to its dramatic shadows and light used for the stealth mechanics in the game. And the audio just complements this perfectly. It really helps with bringing a great atmosphere to the game with great voice acting, great ambient sounds, and good combat audio. So there are a few things, however, that I would like to see the game do a little bit better. Let's start with the maps. They look really cool, but they are super hard to actually use, because the world is not telling you clear enough where you actually are. It could really use more signs, etc. to actually let you know if you are in the manager's office or whatever place you may be in, so that you can actually pinpoint where on the map you are. As is now, I did not use the map once, as it told me nothing of what I wanted to know, but that also harkens back to the excellent level design of the game, because I never really needed to use the map. Now the combat is really fun in my opinion, but the sense of every bullet mattering or every combat scenario being a little scary really wears off fast as you learn how the game and its mechanics work. And I'm not talking about quick save here. There can still be a lot of tension in a fight, but it's just not punishing enough to actually get caught. You are much stronger than the actual enemies are, and that brings the scary level of getting caught down to a level where sometimes it loses its stealth horror DNA. Now I will compare this to the combat in Blood West. I think Blood West nails this perfectly well, as the combat is much more challenging and punishing, almost a bit too much at times, but a good balance between those two games would have been a sweet spot in my book. And lastly, the inventory system, it needs an upgrade. I want it bigger, okay? It's just way too small. Actually to the point where I had to leave valuable loot behind. So my suggestion would be either make the inventory just a little bit bigger or balance the amount of loot in the world to a smaller amount, because it doesn't feel good at all having to pick and choose from whatever you want to keep and not keep. I get the point of it to a degree, but in this game, the amount of leaving loot behind is just way too much. Still don't know what to do with that thing. I'm gonna throw that out. It's bugging me. Overall though, I love this experience. I had a good time from the start to the end. I like the story and especially the environmental storytelling, which amps up the incredible atmosphere and the want to explore every inch of this complex but beautiful level design. But do know that this is still in early access and it has been for a very long time. It's not dead, it's far from it, but it's taking a long time to actually finish it. And the 1.0 is nowhere near in sight as is now. But that said, there is roughly 4 to 5 hours of high quality content in the game, with a big update coming within a couple of months, adding a lot more to it. And while we wait for it, let's check out these bangers.